No, but she watches like Love Island. She'll rewatch Jersey Shore like once a year, like
Okay,
every
I do
episode.
watch Jersey Shore once a year.
Oh, dude,
I'm
she
guilty
loves
of that. I love my meatballs.
it.
I didn't know. Did you know Vinny was ended up supporting Trump?
Did
Really,
he?
I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised.
I was made me sick. I don't think the rest of them did. It was kind of I think it caused a little bit of a rift.
Pauly D didn't. He's the only one I follow, and so neither did JWoww. The girls are all cool, except for I'm not sure about Sam or Angelina.
J-Wall was always my favorite, hands
You just
down.
like your tits.
Yes,
You just like your tits.
right. The same reason that I like Aaron Brockovich and no other Julia Roberts movies.
Are you friends with her? Sammy's my favorite.
Ryan! Ryan! Ryan, stop!
There's a new season dropping soon.
I used to have the tapestry with the note that
Yes, you
JWoww and
did.
Snick fucking wrote.
The whole letter.
That's awesome.
It's so good. I don't want to tell her, but we can write a note.
Oh my god. All right.
Best season, Italy.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Watch
Oh,
this
when Mike
movie
put
run
his
through
head
the
in the
streets of
concrete wall.
Rome.
Actually, last season they went back to the old house for the first time, and like they were gonna sleep there, and then like the girls bailed and left and left Mike there by himself.
Ah, fuck Mike. His hands freak me out.
Mike,
Did we?
I can't. I go back and forth on Mike all the time. Like sometimes I just can't stand him, and then sometimes like, oh, it's all right.
Watching that Italy season, we should have known he was on the sauce, bro. The fact that we weren't like, this man's on real drugs is crazy.
We weren't. I
Is that
kind
the
of
one where
assumed
yeah,
he
he knocks
was.
himself out at
Yeah,
Italy?
gave himself a
Yeah.
concussion.
Yeah.
Yeah, fucked himself up bad.
That
Speared on
is
a
still
wall,
one of
a concrete wall.
that's still one of the best clips ever, though. It's just
Also, Ron could have just been first season out, like Angelina, like just
Yep.
they made such a big deal of bringing him back like 2 years ago, and I was like, I don't care. Like, leave him gone.
he's definitely a Trump supporter too.
The only thing that was
Yeah,
interesting, oh, for sure.
He's
The only thing
five
that was
six.
interesting
Of
about
course he
bringing
is.
Ron back was just watching everybody else be uncomfortable. Just watching Sammy like get weird about it.
I feel like Sammy would have been such a good character without Ron.
Yeah, yeah, that really killed her arc.
Mm-hmm. Sammy, sweetheart.
So, so that's our Jersey Shore episode.
Don't forget to like and subscribe.
And don't forget to like and subscribe. All right, you guys ready? Here we go.
I'm ready.
3, 2, 1. Welcome everyone to the What's Left podcast. My name's John here with Jake and Brad. We are the punk rock garage band of podcasts, adding our voices to resistance as loud as we can. We are just on the edge of war, fellas, on the edge of war, because this just in, Iran is minutes away from developing nuclear
Not
weapons.
stopped. Iran could produce a nuclear weapon in a very short time. It could be a year, it could be within a few months.
They have the wherewithal, the stored up, preserved knowledge to make a bomb very quickly if they wanted to do it.
Iran is so dangerous. Weeks away from having the fissile material for an entire arsenal of nuclear bombs.
They're very close. They're 6 months away from being about 90% of having the rich uranium for an atom bomb.
Iran is gearing up to produce 25 bombs, atomic bombs a year, 250 bombs in a decade.
Ladies and gentlemen, time is running out.
Iran will be capable of producing alone, without importing anything, nuclear bombs within 3 to 5 years.
Wow. Wow. Better move with urgency, fellas. Iran has been fucking building this nuclear arsenal since 1995, and they've barely enriched any uranium. Guys, the whole premise for this thing is bullshit. Trump was trying to negotiate this deal, and he backs out of this deal. He's at the G7. He's saying wild shit. He's fucking hooting hollering for Putin. And then he pulls the fire alarm. In the middle of the night, he screams fire in a crowded theater the crowded theater being a city of Tehran of 10 million people, telling them all to evacuate, causes a gas shortage and traffic jams all across this giant city of people. You know, the chaos, the flip flopping, the triple taco, it's just it's mind boggling, and it's just been a whole day of just flip flops. And as of this recording, at 9:30 at night on Tuesday, we are still not at war, but Trump has said several times now that the U.S. Is open to action against Iran and is involved, has implied our involvement in securing the skies around Iran. What have you guys heard? What are your reactions? Let's start with Jake. Go ahead.
Well, I've only heard what you guys send me because you're way more politically involved than I am. But it is scary. I do not want to go to war. I never do. Ever. But honestly, it's just terrifying just even knowing like very little about wars and like stuff. I don't know with nuclear weapons, but
I do remember you saying several times when we were campaigning that you were like convinced that this guy was going to bring us to World War III. Like,
yeah,
for sure.
he would totally, just for his ego, bring us to war, like hands down.
And that's pretty much where we're at.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is because honestly, like they did this without his consent or knowledge, and this is like a lot of this is saving face, I think. But yeah, we can talk a little bit more about that. Brad, what's your initial reaction? What are you thinking? What are you hearing?
Netanyahu's a fucking terrorist.
Oh,
I don't.
Hands down.
Netanyahu's a fucking terrorist. And he's also like, obviously Iran is the big thing right now, but let's not forget that they basically just released information that as the people of Gaza, the people of Palestine were coming for aid, he was just executing them, essentially.
The largest number today, between 50 and 70 people were shot trying to retrieve flour, for fuck's sakes.
Right. So Netanyahu's a terrorist. I do not believe there's any reason to go to war at all as America against literally any country. I don't understand why any country, period, goes to war with anyone at this point in time. It's 2025. We can operate as a global economy. There's much more opportunity as a global economy than to create isolationism, regardless of what country you are.
Yeah.
I don't stand with either Israel or Iran because they're both terrorists. Honestly, it's just who are they terrorizing? There's no difference to me. However, it is not the USA's fight. It was never the USA's fight. And to sit here and make the claims of nuclear weapons is just very reminiscent of the Bush administration.
Yeah.
And I was a kid during the Bush administration. I was just getting into high school when 9/11 happened. But this all just feels like deja vu in the sense that we're just going over there. As long as we claim the terrorists are creating nuclear weapons, then there is a large demographic in America that's like, hell yeah, blow them back to the Stone Age. Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
They don't really care. Like, nobody could tell me that is pro us bombing Iran where Iran is on a map. Not one person. Not one of them could tell me.
No, definitely not. This is
yeah, I'm very against the war. Like I said, I'm not pro Iran because you can't really be pro Iran. They're like, their views on women are disgusting. Like, their leader is a terrorist just the same. But for us to continue to back Israel, like when Iran is simply doing what Israel tells us that they want to do, they want to be a free state, they want to be an independent country. That's essentially what Iran asked for. They just asked you to stop sanctioning the fuck out of them.
How about that war criminal hijacked that narrative too? He tells the people of Iran, "This is your opportunity to rise up." Man, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. Those people are terrified of you. They don't want you.
Yeah, they were just merely asking to not be sanctioned to death, and they would stop creating weapons-grade uranium. That's all they asked for.
Yeah, so putting aside the fact that the human rights violations in that part of the world are insane, right? Iran held their end of the nuclear deal to a T. They never once missed or failed an inspection throughout the entire thing. Never happened. The rest of the region has signed a pact to not build nuclear bombs and has abided by it. Only one country in that region has a nuclear arsenal and has built a nuclear arsenal. And it isn't Iran. And it's not Iraq. It's fucking Israel. Go figure.
Imagine that.
Imagine that.
And in March of this year, Tulsi Gabbard testified that
Under
Iran
oath.
was nowhere near creating a nuclear weapon.
Yep. That they
So
hadn't.
3 months ago,
Her specific
Donald
testimony,
Trump's
real quick,
homie,
was they have not moved on nuclear weapons since 2003. 2003. That was her testimony. Sorry, I have to interrupt. I just wanted to make sure that that's clear because it is. I think it's important to know that it's like it's not just not been like since yesterday. It's been since 2003.
what do we do? It's all just so reminiscent of what we saw, and we've all learned. I mean, there were no weapons in Iraq,
Yeah.
there was nothing in Iraq by the time we were done there. A flailing government that we tried to instate. It was terrible. It was terrible. We lost lives. People died.
Yeah, and in the end, we pulled out of Afghanistan and gave it back to the Taliban.
Right.
That's
We
how
did
it
nothing.
ended.
You just had to make sure you had centralized banking. Get the fuck out of there.
Fucked.
That's how
Absolutely fucked.
it went. And then to top it all off, the fact that they're like screaming, like Donald Trump screaming, Iran should not have nuclear weapons. All right, brother. Well, history,
Hey, they don't.
right. But history tells us that Donald Trump himself said Barack Obama's numbers are failing. Don't be surprised if he does something like attack Iran.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Brother, you said it. You're the one he interviewed in person saying George W. Bush going to Iraq was a total waste. It was a loss. It was a stupid decision. And now he's like, you know what? We should bomb Iran.
It feels like a total panic attack. It feels like a total panic attack.
It is. The parade was fucking embarrassing. Like the protests are embarrassing to him. He's just embarrassed. And Donald Trump hates that the most.
Yeah. Yeah. You feel like it has anything to do with public opinion, Jake? You think that the polls shift, or is it the parades, or is it just a combination of all these things?
I think it's his combination of just not getting the backing. He wants to be just like those men. He wants an army where he could say, okay, let's go bomb this people. And then everyone's like, sure, why not? And he's not getting that here. And I think that's why he's upset and just keeps pushing. He'll push and push until he thinks we'll crack or stop or submit or something. But he wants total control like they do over their countries.
Yeah. Yeah, he was caught on a hot mic, complaining he just wanted people to obey him like they obey Kim Jong-un.
Mm-hmm. Right. And he doesn't care about the Minnesota. He doesn't give a shit about anybody. He doesn't care about anyone. He only cares about himself.
Yeah.
And then just shows more and more.
When a person lacks empathy, it's very apparent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and I think that all you need to know about whether or not Donald Trump lacks empathy was in his statement when they would ask him that question on Air Force One. Are you going to call Tim Walz?
No. No, not. What do I say? Hi, hello? No, you asked dude how he's doing.
Right. The fuck do you mean? You are the president of the United States.
You need something.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a fun phrase.
Yeah, try that. Try it on for size. You know he has never asked that a day in his life.
No.
They tried to spread the wildest web of propaganda about that shooter. The wildest web so fast, bro. It was crazy.
I didn't even want to touch it at the time, but specifically Mike Lee, the based Mike Lee that I was alluding to the last time. He's a fucking US senator. And he did not remove that post until 12 o'clock because apparently that's what based means. Based means be a dick and keep being a dick. Don't apologize. Don't move. It's, that Trump version of bravado, where they will just keep lying no matter what, I mean, they make George W. Bush look like one of the most truthful presidents of all time. Like they make that man look like George Washington. And I always said like history's going to smile on George W. Bush, not because he wasn't like one of the worst fucking presidents we've ever had in the history of this country, but because they left the door open to this.
Yep.
You know, like the amount of power that they had, it's like, boy, like they fucked up hard, but like if somebody wanted to, like they could walk in and just like unilaterally try to declare war on Iran. And then we've seen this like the bombing of the Yemenis, like every president has done this basically since Bush, where they've just sort of unilaterally taken these warlike actions without actually declaring war because they're terrorist cells and not whole ass countries. This is the first time we're really faced with the idea of like this is a whole country.
Protected country, sure.
Yeah. So you do see like the move in Congress. You see, that horseshoe effect where now you have Tom Massie, the Republican congressman who opposed Trump's spending bill because of the spending, not because of any moral fiber, but and AOC signing on to the same bill to try to not prevent really, but to just reassure and reaffirm that the power of declaring war on a country comes from Congress.
Yes.
And I think that's good. And I think that we've seen the crack. Let's talk on this now a little bit. Like we've seen the crack in right-wing media, and we've seen the crack of some of the politicians. We've seen a few, like Marjorie Taylor Greene even, has taken a very strong, adamant anti-war stance on this one, which, is impressive, sort of, taking, again, it's kind of like laying aside the human rights violations in Saudi Arabia. Like, it's kind of hard to do. Like, you can't just, like, pretend like Iran has, like, not been a bad actor for a long time, You can't just lay aside the fact that Marjorie Taylor Greene is a raging anti-Semite before you realize that, like, she's against this war in Israel. So you can't, like, ignore that fact, but she is. Like, she stood up to her daddy, and that's weird for her. That is off-brand.
She said this is not putting America first.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
She said that.
Yep,
she did.
And she's right.
Down. She's right. She is right. She is right. Remember, you're not allowed to say the worst person you know. There's nothing you agree with. That's on the banned words list.
Good, because she's not even the worst person I know that's probably in this list of people that have turned on him.
That's saying something. Tucker Carlson, I'm not as surprised about, because there is a man who, when he was working at CNN during the Bush administration, basically said the same shit, about Bush. He was caught on a hot mic then, I think. But,
this time, Tucker did it in a fucking formal interview.
He did. I actually have that clip. You guys want to hear it?
Oh, I do. I like to hear him talk shit about him.
I just every time I hear that cackle of his, I'm taken by, because I don't watch him anymore because he's not on mainstream television, so I never see him. So I'm just always like still shocked a little bit by like how insane he sounds, and that people like listen to him and come to him for things. It's kind of just wild to me. But yeah, here he is, old Tuck.
What they're doing is what they always do, which is just turning up the propaganda hose to full blast and just trying to, knock elderly Fox viewers off their feet and make them submit to a new war.
Yeah.
Easy peasy.
Easy peasy.
That's
kind
Tucker C.
That's kind of wild. I mean, Bannon, of course, is, America first, blah, blah, blah. So splitting the coalition. These people, though, it makes a difference. It's not like they're going to turn around and like vote for the Democratic candidate for president next year.
Right. Joe Rogan spoke out against what's going on with ICE and immigration.
Yeah.
Like, here's my thing, fellas. This is your fault.
Right.
They're all speaking out of it now because they're losing people.
Because they realize that
they're afraid.
Shit,
Joe Rogan, the only reason he's being a semi-good person now is because he's afraid he's going to lose his shit.
I agree.
I do not like Joe Rogan at all, and I will never defend that man. Ever.
Me either. That's what I'm saying. Like, this is your fault, dude.
Yeah.
I feel the same way about a lot of these guys. I feel like they're losing money.
Yep.
Right? They're losing their money. They're losing their fan base, and they feel the shift in the public, and so they are reacting to that shift. It is not like they didn't suddenly grow a moral backbone.
No. Right.
You know,
That's what I'm saying.
like I said on a previous show, like if Theo Vaughn had a real moral conviction about Gaza, he wouldn't have fucking let JD Vance just walk all over him.
Yeah, he went up there and thrown him softballs.
Right. So, and the same goes. They all gave those softball interviews all through the election to Trump and his cronies.
We gave, like, they had the opportunity to just, like, swing all the bros.
Yeah.
They swung the bros to Donald Trump.
You know, all they had to do, though, and Tim has dismissed this, but honestly, they are so fucking pliable and stupid. They are such. All you had to do is like be next. Like if you go on after Donald Trump, they don't have any conviction. They have no more. Like you could have made them all agree with you too. You know, like Tim Walz could have easily sat down and talked with them, and then like, that makes sense. You know,
right?
They were all Bernie people, and then they put the Trump people. They have no fucking idea what the hell they're talking about. They don't pay any attention because it doesn't affect them. And I know this because I also enjoy some privilege in life. I'm not like from a rich family by any stretch of the imagination, but I am white enough that politics doesn't affect me as much as it might somebody else. I'll be one of the last ones to feel the bad effects. Like the recession in 2008, like I didn't feel it right away, but eventually I felt it. You know, like I felt those crises eventually, but not right away. You know, and I'm sort of I know that looking back on my life, I know that I've been insulated from some of the worst things. I haven't had to experience as much of the bad stuff. And so these guys are, if I'm a little bit insulated, these guys are fucking living in giant fucking cushioned rooms. Yeah. So it's not that. So now in Congress, I wanted to propose this to you guys. So here's a chance maybe for an impeachment, because you got people like Dave Smith, who is a regular on Joe Rogan, and he went a little bit further. He apologized, which I think is what is lacking in all these other guys.
Yeah, he didn't just change his tone. He didn't just change his talking point, right?
He apologized for that. And but it wasn't hard. But I feel like that has a lot more. And then he called for his impeachment. So I think that is
the most valid thing I've heard.
Yeah.
For me to believe him.
Yeah. Like you can't just take no responsibility for this.
Right.
Especially Joe Rogan. What are you fucking kidding me? Like before this, you used to be the #1 podcast on every platform.
Right.
Yeah, Baldy.
5'3". Anyway, that's it. Oh, you didn't know?
No, I didn't know. That's so funny.
Yeah, spread that around. I mean, make sure everybody else knows. I mean,
I'm like a foot taller than that man.
Yeah. No, he's like.
It's awesome.
Explains a lot about him.
It really does.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Not that you have to be a certain way to be short, but you know, sometimes short people do act a certain way, and Joe Rogan certainly does. So here's my concern, though. Jake, I think your microphone just died.
No, I was just giggling about 5'3".
Okay, I thought you said something and I couldn't hear it.
He said, "That sure is funny, that little shit."
Nipping at my ankles. Damn it.
I just know he's over there sitting in a booster chair during his podcast right now.
He has to look up to Leslie Jordan. Okay.
So, moving past. Now that we've digested the 5'3" reality of Joe Rogan's life, so there's this split, and there are some people in Congress and some senators who are, or let's call them nationalist MAGA, right? Because that's really what this is about. It's about isolationism. Their reason I'll get to this in a minute. But anyway, there are people who are willing to consider that this is the wrong thing all over the board. This is where we finally have some Republicans breaking from Trump. What worries me now is that there are both Republicans and Democrats who receive significant money from AiPAC. And if the impeachment is focused on this, will anyone have the spine? Will they be able to get the numbers in Congress to get an impeachment when that is so clearly the moral imperative right now? What do you guys think of that?
Explain AiPAC.
Okay. AiPAC is a Zionist super PAC. They threaten, they have actually gotten, specifically on the Democratic side, very progressive candidates primaried out of their district simply by pouring more money in than small donor candidates like Jamal Bowman, for instance, in New York, could raise on his own. Like, he didn't take super PAC money. So they came in with their candidate, and they told they paint these. Usually they come in and they paint the candidate as super anti-Semitic, based on the fact that they support maybe Palestine or a two-state solution, and that's not good enough for them because for their specific purposes, they believe that all of Israel is entitled to all of the Middle East. So, like, there is no limit to their conquest there. And they're very well funded and very, very active. So AiPAC causes a lot of damage. And they have a lot of politicians.
Like Andrew Cuomo.
Yeah. And even like Cory Booker.
Yep. Right, yeah, Cory Booker is funded by them.
There are a lot of politicians that this touches.
It's ridiculous.
And not just, like Miriam Adelson gave Trump hundreds of millions of dollars. Specifically, I believed at the time, and I've heard other people echo this now, so that he would turn a blind eye and immediately allowed Israel to reoccupy the West Bank entirely. Like, that happened under the radar. Like, they just took the West Bank. Belongs to them now. So they just kind of annexed it without anything being said about it. And you also see this like in media too, and just the way that it's reported. Israel bombs hospitals. Here's a perfect example. Israeli leaders, guess where they're at? They're in tunnels under residential buildings and hospitals and schools. Just like they accuse everybody in Palestine. The reason for leveling Palestine was because these terrorists use their people as human shields. Aren't they filthy, disgusting, inhuman people? And where's the Israeli leaders at? Using their people as human shields. And where is the reporting on this? Fucking nowhere. It's out there, but you gotta dig for it. It's certainly not a New York Times headline.
No, certainly not. You're not going to find it in any mainstream media source.
So this is what worries me. Like, if this impeachment comes down to, will you say that being against Israel dominating the entire Middle East is not anti-Semitic? Or are you going to take this hard stance that saying the word, there's a bill in Congress that certain Congress people are trying to pass that will make free Palestine an anti-Semitic slur?
Oh my God.
Yeah. So given that, like, all of that, what do you think the chances are of actually getting an impeachment over this if it were to happen?
The only way, which I'm hoping that this does not happen, I'm hoping that there's some sort of ceasefire or something. The only way an impeachment would even be thought of is if he attacks, is if we drop bombs in Iran.
Oh, I don't see a scenario where we don't.
So,
I don't think there's a chance that we don't do that. So let's assume that happens.
okay, so then I think that people can see that the tide is changing. Like, it's like I know that I'm a Democrat, I'm a bleeding heart, and I believe that my side is just always the right side, like in terms of like social like awareness.
Yeah.
Um, I don't think that that is going to matter because everybody's starting to see it. Like they're seeing the change. They're seeing the people that voted for Trump and realize that this is not at all what they voted for in any stretch of the imagination. You can like post these lame ass figures of this is dropping or this price is down or but like none of that's true. If you just live day to day, they're not doing anything for America anymore.
Yeah.
And when you have like your diehards like Margaret Taylor Greene and she's just like, bro, this is not America first. And you have millions of people standing in the streets to tell you that this is unacceptable. I think that they have to listen. I think they have to listen.
I think and hope so too, Jake. Do you find that in like in your own life at all? Like, do you find that in your own experience? Like, are you feeling? Is that how you feel? Like, are we? Is the fever breaking, so to speak? Are we coming away? Are people coming away from this idea that like Trump is an infallible god?
Living in Youngstown?
Yeah.
No. I still get yelled at for the bumper stickers on my car.
Wow.
So
Like,
yes, I see a little shift. Like I've the No Kings, I saw a lot of people I know, but that's people I know. So obviously I already associate with those people.
yeah,
So it's hard to see a shift in a small town like mine.
yeah.
It's hard to
It's-
see that like upswing.
And
Or-
see, and that's good. That's kind of like what I was fearing. Like, is this? I think this is maybe just like this is chipping away around the margin. This isn't like a politically speaking, momentum speaking, energy speaking, morality speaking. We are on the right path, and we can begin to suck up more of this energy. However, for the moment, I don't think politically it's making much headway. I don't even think that when this man most likely drops those 30,000 pound bunker busting bombs on that country, that'll be it. And I don't think it'll be the fault of one side or the other. I think there's going to be a portion of Democrats who are going to be responsible for this as well. It would be responsible.
Definitely.
in this hypothetical scenario. Would be responsible for it as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. They're, like you said, AiPAC has ruined Congress.
Yeah. Citizens United overall has ruined it. But, just the hard scrabble for money and just the necessity of having, all these millions of dollars. And, honestly, though, like, Wisconsin Supreme Court, all these things, like, you can outwork the money. You just have to be willing to work. I really think you can. I mean,
Right.
in some cases, although I have to say, like in Jamal Bowman's case, that was tough.
It is 2025. Cory Booker had millions and millions of views on his
Yeah.
when he took the floor. There's no reason that you cannot do the same exact thing on social media.
You're 1,000% correct. I really think, man, that's not the truth, man. They're just holding on to these ancient ideas. Like, what do you need that money for? TV ads? Who the fuck
Right.
are you?
Right. No one watches cable anymore. It's all streaming services.
That's what I mean.
Mhm.
And like, do we need to be having fucking pop stars performing at our rallies, or are we there to actually spread our message?
Right. Oh, it's
Unless they have something important to say, then don't rant.
You know what I mean? It's so much money is just wasted at just doing absurd shit to like appeal. But how about we just listen to what these people want to do to the country and stop just letting them fucking pander to us?
There was a time where you wanted to be a politician, you got on a goddamn train and you touched every corner of the state. You gave your stump speech in every stupid fucking town over and over again, and you got yelled at and heckled, and you lived in the same fucking pair of clothes. You worked hard to convince people to vote for you. If you want to win a presidential race, you worked even harder. Since the advent of television, it's become very easy for them. They don't have to work for the attention. They are allotted attention. They are given C-SPAN nonstop all day. You want can make my clips for me. You can go on CNN at any given point in time. All you have to do is ask and talk. You know, you get all this free publicity, and politicians have not had to work for it in a long time. And you ain't got to get on a fucking train, but you got to get on your phone. And more importantly than getting on your phone, you know the people who are getting the most attention? People who are getting arrested, like Brad Landers, the comptroller in New York City. You know, people who are going and trying to, asking to do their due diligence, inspecting these ICE facilities. And even if they get locked out, it doesn't matter if you're successful or not. It matters that you are doing it, that you are trying. And these are the things that are breaking through. These are the things that people are seeing. It's not that fucking complicated. If you want attention, if you want this job, all you have to do is go out and do the simple work. Go out and do the fighting, and it'll come naturally because there's a camera everywhere. You don't even need to bring your fucking camera. Like, as long as you go out and do the right thing, somebody's watching it. And that's that's the kind of shit that goes viral. And that's what you need. You need attention. You need eyeballs. This is performative. Who gives a rat's ass? That's part of politics. You know, they traveled with the whole circus.
Yeah.
You know, the bands, the fucking boom, 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 boom. You know,
it's so obnoxious.
Yeah.
On both sides.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I didn't care one bit about who Kamala was bringing on the stage to perform. I felt like optimism for Kamala because of what she was saying. I don't need the razzle dazzle.
At the beginning, right?
Yeah.
Not so much toward the end, it was like, well, I'm already convinced, but this isn't for me.
Right.
Here we are reaching for, you know, it's like the, I don't know, sort of upper middle class has been slowly convincing each other to vote Democratic since the Clintons. Like, there's space over here for us, you know? But I think they've harvested as many upper middle class folks as they can. I think we're maxed out. I think we have as many Clinton Democrats as we're ever going to carry in this party. And it's not enough to win an election because there just aren't that many of them left. Blame your own policies for shrinking the upper middle class, for shrinking the lower middle class, and eliminating the regular middle class. So, but it just ain't there. And we have to go, it has to be more progressive, it has to be more people oriented, or we're not going to win a goddamn election. We're not going to win an election running around with Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger. It's just not going to happen. They did the right thing, and that's cool. Round of applause. But it shouldn't be that shocking, and it certainly shouldn't make them honorary Democrats. They still support some really shitty stuff. You know? There's still plenty of people out here, specifically those type of people, who would be neocon all about this stuff. Like, would be ready to put American boots on the ground for no reason. So, I mean, it's something to think about. Like, where are our principles? What do we stand for? Throw the money out. You don't really fucking need it. And it's just a matter of, like, who's going to be brave enough to do it. And if it came down to, like, impeaching Donald Trump or taking the money from AiPAC, I know that some won't. I know that in my heart. But I would hope that some would. You know? I just don't know if it would be enough or not. And it's sad that I have to think about it.
They could go to a college campus and speak. Thousands of people are going to film you.
Yeah.
You're going to be posted. You're going to be praised for taking the time to go visit these kids. And then you got young voters. Like, there's so many ways you could just get popularity these days.
Yeah.
It's popularity.
It is.
It's so easy.
You are an influencer.
It's called being viral. Yeah. You got to teach them the words. Viral. That's all they need to do.
That's all they need to do. The job of a politician is to influence and encourage people to your point of view. So you need to be an influencer of sorts. And influencers exist in millions of different ways. It doesn't mean that you have to be. It doesn't mean that, like, you need to go to the beach and take sunset shots.
Get ready with me to take down Congress.
Right. Yeah. I don't need Chris Van Hollen doing his makeup and telling me about how they're going to impeach Trump. You know what I mean? Like, that's all right. I don't need that. But, if that's something that you can do, like Sarah McBride did a real funny thing with like a congressperson from Pennsylvania.
That was good.
Yeah, it was cute. It was like Separation Day, and they just kind of like
And guess
dogged
what?
each other's
There's
day.
thousands and thousands of likes on that video. And now thousands and thousands of people know her name now. You know what I
Yep.
mean? This is people, she's
It's
reaching people that she probably wouldn't if she didn't post something like that.
And it's not like she didn't. It's not about. It wasn't about like a certain message about Donald Trump. It's a goofy thing about when Delaware and Pennsylvania separated.
Yeah.
Right.
Like it's some random specific Delaware holiday.
Yep.
Come on. Pay attention, folks. And honestly, a lot of these people are just too goddamn old. If I have to listen to Chuck Schumer fucking post last week's newspaper on Threads one more goddamn time, why won't he just listen to me? I am tired of yelling at him. He needs to resign so bad.
He needs to resign so bad.
So bad.
Why aren't they doing that? So why aren't the Democrats pushing things like that?
Things like
AiPAC, the money, the bread.
Because they are so, oh my God, because they hire the worst fucking people. Like, our DNC chair is the most inept loser. I'm sorry, I gotta say it, dude. Like, he sucks.
I want you to say, because, like, we're not winning, so obviously we need to do something different. So what? So why wouldn't we push new people like that?
So they're like, well, let's get a younger white person to run the DNC. Or a younger white male to run the DNC. And, just because, like, you stop. These are not qualifications for a job. These are not qualifications for a job.
They are now. They're the only qualification, actually, now.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, but don't we want to be different than that? Like,
if you have some auctioneer experience, I heard you can get a spot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or WWE experience, I think you get a spot too.
For sure. I mean, nothing says education like taking a chair to the back of the skull.
Yes. I just want to know, like, why aren't we making steps? Isn't this the time? I'm not political at all, but even I can recognize. Isn't this the time to build, to redefine, reestablish, completely? It's not working. Let's get something new.
This is free money. You could literally just go out and fucking lick toads naked in public right now, and it will be in the news cycle for approximately 5 minutes if you're lucky.
Yep.
So, like, you're free to do what you want because nobody's going to remember it anyway, unless they do, which would be great. Like, take all of the chances would be the best advice. And go out and be active. Be active. Be at these rallies. Be, starting your own rallies. The ones that are going around doing town halls, those were great. Those people went so viral for that. Ken Martin crying because he's been handcuffed by his, helpers. That's not helping. Spending $20 million to find the left's Joe Rogan. Bruh.
Right.
Quit looking down. Start looking up.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We don't need a fucking Joe Rogan.
The troops are rallied, bro. The troops are rallied.
The troops are rallied. Let me tell you something. As the host of a podcast, we don't need another podcast.
Right.
We don't. It's cool. We need what we need is to just be real and genuine. And to just, like, admit, like, there are certain obvious things, like, young people, certain really young people, it was found in one study that, like, they really resonated with Trump because he promised to stop the drugs. And a lot of those people had people in their lives, especially their parents, who were affected by the drug epidemic. That resonated with youngsters back in 2016. They're like, oh, God, yeah, I do know people who are on drugs. It'd be great if we could stop these drugs. Whether that's from wanting vengeance for their parents or just assuming that if the drugs went away, their person in their life would get better. Either way, it's there's people that voted for him this time because he wasn't going to get us into a war, and that is clearly a very unifying thing. Like, none of us want war.
Right.
This is the final point I want to make, and then if you guys want to make any others, we can. But final point I want to make is that we all don't want war. Now, these isolation nationalist Christians don't want war because isolationism, which you don't have to be a qualified historical expert to know that is a failed strategy, even when times were simpler. Even when it took you fucking months to sail across the world, you could not disconnect yourself from the reality of global politics. That is not the world we live in. You can be in Beijing tonight, you know? Well, actually, I have no idea. I have no idea how long it takes to get to Beijing, but it can be done pretty quickly in an airplane. We're there. You know, I can connect to them on the internet instantly. So the idea that we can disconnect from the world is categorically stupid. I'm not going to even like give it any other credence. Isolationism is impossible and dumb, right? Doesn't
And
exist. Does anybody care to play devil's advocate there?
No.
it's impossible. I can't. I think that
Isolation is
yeah.
just proven bad for humanity itself.
Yeah, and
It does not do good in isolation. That's
no,
why
it doesn't. It always leads to wars because that hyper nationalism is what causes war. It's one of the things that causes war. That's been proven time and time again. So, what does the rest of the world see? Well, not enough people saw the importance of USAID. I'll tell you that right now. Not enough people saw the importance of being good global partners. And a lot of that had to do with the fact that people didn't feel taken care of at home. But it doesn't cost much to be a good neighbor. And as much as we may not have benefited from, say, money spent in Africa for AIDS, we certainly benefit every day from the minerals that are mined in Africa that come back to our country to make our smartphones and everything else. So it does behoove us to be nice, not because charity, but also because it's good for, like, it's selfishly makes our lives easier. Nothing about, ignoring Africa and having them cozy up to China or Russia makes our life any cheaper or easier. It just means we have to buy our shit from Russia now. It's not helpful.
Right.
So that idea is nonsense. So foreign policy never pulls high, but this is probably, we're really gonna have to figure out like what it is that we want as a country. I know what I want. I believe in diplomacy. I believe in the peace deals. I believe that there are certain times when war is pushed on you by evil people and you have to stand up and you have to fight. And that's unfortunate, but that is true. But I do believe that should be the last resort. I do believe that should be the last resort. But I don't know. I don't know what the answer is here. But I don't know. How do you guys feel about that analysis? And what do you think the message is here?
I just don't understand. I just don't understand how it wouldn't be suicide for Donald Trump to attack them. Like, you cannot scream America first and then cut all these aid programs like you were talking about because we're saving money, because we're putting America first, and then go decimate countries in the name of America first. That doesn't feel very America first to me. So you can't, like I said, you can't go the route of isolationism and stop USAID from like helping. You can't stop helping people globally to go to war. Like you can't do that, right? That's like, I don't care what side of the line you're on. Like, it's pretty simple that you can't cut USAID and then at the same time turn kids into skeletons.
Yeah.
I don't. So it'd be suicide for them.
Yeah. And to pretend that we don't have a role is crazy too. Like, we have a role regardless.
Right.
I mean, yeah. Any thoughts on what that role should be here, Jake? Like, do we have to stand up to Israel here? Like, we have to continue to support Ukraine? Do we just
For once,
walk
I think
away?
standing up to, I'm always like, why does America have to put their nose into other people's business? But like this time, if we were to stand up to Israel, I do not think it would be the worst thing in the world.
Yeah.
I don't. For the fact of saving innocent lives.
Yeah.
Because when innocence is attacked, something needs to happen. Just
Yeah.
like the Pope is saying, if half the Christians did what the Pope said, I mean, we'd have a whole different world. But like, I do believe for standing up for the little people, especially women and children. And I think it's disgusting. Someone needs to stop it.
Yeah.
It's gone on way, way, way too long.
Yeah. And now it's just escalating even worse. Yeah. These war criminals need to be brought to justice.
Yes.
And it's not going to be, it may not be, there's going to be some fighting involved. But it didn't have to be this way. Like at no point did we have to be getting involved in a war to end this.
No.
Like all we had to do was stop funding Israel. All we had to do was keep giving Ukraine what they need, what they wanted to buy from us.
Right.
And bad people could have been slowed or stopped. But instead, here we are.
Mm-hmm.
Here we are. As usual, Donald Trump has found a way to take something awful, point it out, expose the problem for what it is, and then make it infinitely worse.
But you got to give Donnie T credit where credit is due, because that man did tell the truth. He told me if I voted for Kamala, we'd go to World War III. That motherfucker is spot on, boy. He don't lie.
Yeah, that one is that one's true.
He called your bluff on that one. He got you.
He did, dude. I was like, yeah, right. We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
He said, I told you, dude.
Whatever.
Yeah, I do what I want.
Shit. You hate to hand it to the guy. You really do. Oh, well.
I mean,
that feels like a pretty good place to leave it. You guys got anything else you want to add before we go?
Nope.
So much other bullshit to talk about. We just don't have time today.
I can't wait for Thursday, bro.
Yeah, we got some things. The budget bill's coming back from the Senate. I don't know. It's a lot. It's a lot.
Massacred. That budget bill's gonna look nothing like it did when it left the house.
No, it's just it looks meaner.
Right.
It's full of tax cuts like for private jets. What? Are you shitting me? Are you shitting me? Anyway, that's a tease. That's what they call a tease in this business. That's what I hear. That's what I'm told. Like and subscribe, please. Please like and subscribe. It really helps out on the algorithm on YouTube. If you subscribe on Substack, there is an option for it to be paid. All of our work is always free and always will be. But if you can afford a subscription, it does help us to build our network up. Also, you can help out by purchasing a union-made, union-printed T-shirt on derealizationnation.com. That's derealizationnation.com. Follow us on TikTok, Instagram, and Threads, and also sometimes on Blue Sky. I'm John.
I'm Jake.
And I'm Brad.
And that's what's left.
I do not know with what weapons World War III will be fought, but World War IV will be fought with sticks and stones. Albert Einstein.